Joe Klatt breaks down 3 simple reasons why the Dolphins, if available, should take Michael Penix Jr. First things first, the cap advantages of avoiding having a quarterback on a second contract.
Well,
That's one of those things, but you don't know how good Michael
that
Penix
is
Jr. is going to be.
true, but you gotta put a lot of. So here's all right. I know you're gonna go to the other reasons, but if we're going by the first reason he said,
Just financially, yeah.
financially, it makes sense.
Of course.
But that would also mean that you still have those weapons that you surrounded Tua with, or you have newer weapons so that you can give to Penix while you have him on that rookie contract.
Yes, that means you got to get Waddle back. You have to keep Tyreek Hill,
right? Because
maybe a tight end somewhere.
and that means Penix is not playing his rookie year, because obviously Tua would be playing this fifth year,
this
but
fifth year out.
that would be so. You're saying that Tua would crap the bed or not have a good season as if he's had the last 2 years.
Well, we'll get into that. He also has some other scenarios
But
that he
go
says the
ahead.
Dolphins could be doing. He also cites number 2, Tua's past concussions, and I quote, "Giving Tua a huge deal, I think, is risky. I think it's risky. He's been injury prone outside of concussions, but that's clearly something that from firsthand experience, it doesn't get better. It's not like a ligament. Okay, so what ends up happening or happening is less and less of an impact creates more symptoms and a greater degree of those symptoms. So that makes me nervous."
Well, he is right. I'm also calling cap on that, because it's like what happened past season. I don't want to, you know what? I mean, I say cap. He's not lying, but he also played every game. He played all 18 games last season.
That was a little bit of a reach, yes.
So it's not a little. It's not a little bit of. It's not a reach, but I don't think it's. It's not. I don't think it's a. It's as. I don't want to say it's a determining factor, but it's kind of lower now in the scale of why. I'm looking more at play than I'm looking at health with him after what I saw what he went through last year. And here's the other thing. If they would protect his ass, because I mean, or not even protect his ass. Let me take that back. If they didn't have so many damn injuries and they had offensive line, other than my team, the Jets, the Dolphins had the second most injuries in the offensive line, second most offensive line starting lineups, different lineups. So yeah, they can shore up the offensive line, and that would help protect them as much as well. But I don't want to. I don't want to use that as so much of a determining factor right now.
Tua just made it through a season healthy as a horse, one of the healthiest players, if not the healthiest quarterback in the NFL. So that right there, maybe not the greatest
Right,
argument.
and with all those different offensive line, he still held up. Come
Still
on,
fine.
bro.
Never an issue. Never a worry. Well, not to say never a worry. We worry every game, but never was an issue this season. Totally healthy. Now, here's number 3. Joe Klatt says he believes Michael Penix Jr. is a better downfield passer than Tua. Here we go. This is what he says. "I've said this before. A guy that I could see stepping into that offense with that coach, with those weapons, and looking like he did in college is Michael Penix. Imagine starting over with a rookie deal at that position, solidifying some of the things that they've got, in particular in their skill positions, and having a guy that, quite honestly, is a better downfield passer than Tua. Penix is a better downfield passer than Tua. I'm not saying that like Tua is not going to be in the league, but I'm just saying if you're the Dolphins, you've got to really think about this. Yes, Tyreek had a great year. How many times did Tyreek have to adjust to an underthrown ball? Now, maybe that's a bad example because the guy is so fast, but it happens a lot. It happens a lot. Meanwhile, the best attribute that Michael Penix has, the number one attribute, is his ability to throw with great leverage and accuracy down the field. He says things a lot of things twice. Him in that offense, to me, I like what I see. I think it would be amazing. Michael Penix Jr. did have a nice touch, but Tua is also one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. Let's also remember Tyreek Hill, when he played with Kansas City, was also known to have to run back for some of Patrick Mahomes' balls. Pause.
I'm gonna let you slide with that one.
For some of his passes.
Yes.
Remember that? Do you remember there? He
I
did have
mean,
to
there
run
was a
back.
couple on the throne. I remember the 3rd and 14 in the Super Bowl. Live in Miami. I remember that big play where it was kind of he was throwing off his back foot. Uh Listen, the only knock I'm gonna give to it right now is that I don't know if he can play in conditions that are not ideal.
Okay.
That's the number one thing. But Penix went through a lot in college as well. And if you're just, I think what Joe Clad's doing, he sees, if you're doing a comparison, who does this rookie, who's this quarterback remind you of? He's probably saying Michael Penix reminds him of Tua because they're left-handed and they can play in a type of system that Mike McDaniel has. If you want to do that, fine. But in doing that, what if Tua has another great season, lead the league in passing yards, touchdowns, whatever, and then has a great season? You don't want to be it. The Dolphins are in a nasty situation because you don't want to be Dak Prescott. You don't want to be the Dallas Cowboys. Remember that last contract? We'll pay Dak. They kept on pushing it, delaying it, and the more they delayed it, the more better he played. The more better he played, the more money he asked for and required. And guess what? That's what he got. And they could have gotten a better deal if they had signed him earlier, but they wanted to see if he can earn it, and he earned it. So now, are you going to do that with Tua? The guys led you to playoffs,
Led the league in passing yards. Built your whole offense around him.
but question is, can you win a Super Bowl with him?
Can you win a playoff game with him is a bigger question.
If you're telling me you can win a playoff game with Michael Penix Jr., I don't know about that.
We don't know what Michael Penix Jr. can do in this league. We know he was very good at Washington. Joe Klatt does suggest, though, that the Dolphins would possibly find a trading partner and trade Tua. That partner, of course, would have to be willing to deal with his contract issues beyond 2024.
So let me ask you this, Joe Klatt. Be Joe Klatt there, Dan. Kuzan.
Let's go.
So you're going to tell me that you're going to tell the rest of those players in that locker room that we're not rebuilding when you're trying to trade Tua? Come on, man. What's he talking about, bro?
That's the other thing. And then he said, well, maybe, you bring him in for a quarterback competition. And we know that's the last thing the Dolphins ever want to do. The Dolphins do not. They've done enough this quarterback competition, enough with Tua. That's it. Michael Penix Jr., probably it's a moot point. Not going to slip that far in the draft. There's a premium on quarterbacks with strong arms. Michael Penix Jr. probably not going to fall to 21st. But if he does, I still don't think the Dolphins take him.
I thought you know who I thought you were going to say? Bo Nix.
Oh, let's not even talk about that. That guy has backup written all over him.
What about J.J. McCarthy?
That guy has backup written all over him.
He does, but he's a Michigan guy.
Once again, backup written all over him. You'd be much better served getting a good offensive lineman.
Listen, man, there's nobody that can replace number one right now, man.
Nope.
Tua is your guy.
We're married.
You're married. I know there was a lot of frustration after the loss, but it is important. We're in an important time right now. We're in an important time right now because you're in year 3 with McDaniel. His Nike fits on the grill. He's on the Foreman. You got to figure out what you're going to do with Christian Wilkins, what you're going to do with X. Like, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made because, you know what? If Joe Klatt sees the Dolphins falling apart and they're going to have to rebuild, then maybe you do that. But that's not what I think. That's not Stephen Ross. That's not
Boss rebuild time.
Yeah, Boss Ross, that's not his mindset.